everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Stone Genius Podcast. My name is Ro. You know me as the Stone Genius. I'm often stoned. I'm always a genius. We have a guest today joining us. And here's the thing. So with our guest, I always do like a little, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to do this, that, and the other. So one thing I forgot to ask them about is the exact pronunciation of their last name. I'm going to go with... I'm going to welcome from Two Rubies Estate Sales in Kansas City, Libby Kreighbaum. Did I pronounce it?
You did it!
Okay.
You did
So
it!
I will say, I think I saw you spell it out phonetically somewhere, so I actually wrote it the way it's written and phonetically. But I was going to ask you that just to make sure, and I totally forgot. So, well, yay me.
Good job.
So, okay,
Good
well,
job.
welcome.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. Two Rubies Estate Sales. Is there, because we live here in the Midwest, which is Oz, so the ruby slippers and thing, is there something to the name Two Rubies?
There is something to the name Two Rubies. So we have two girls. They're almost 27 and 24, and they are both July birthdays. So they are ruby birthstones. So they are our two rubies.
There you go. I knew there had to be something, and I was, so the first thing, of course, came to my mind was the slippers. So that's awesome, though. And I wouldn't have known the birthstone either. I mean.
Yep, July is ruby. Yep.
I couldn't, I feel bad. I mean, I have our kids' birthdays down, and I feel pretty good about that. I mean, I used to think that was a very minimum, but then I see dads that can't do that about their kids, and so I feel not so bad.
Yeah.
But birthstones.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Give us a little bit of, well, not ask you this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, just about what led you to this point to begin Two Rubies Estate Sales.
Okay, so I have been in Kansas City my entire life, and just let me quickly say, I have been with you at John Deemer Elementary School. So I've literally been here my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm in my early 20s, and I start just like getting this itch for like cool vintage stuff. And I get married and meet some girlfriends, and we all just love going to estate sales, going to garage sales, and we get a booth at an antique mall that is no longer around. It was Mission Road Antique Mall, which was like the best antique mall in Kansas City. And so I had a booth there, and I would just have people tell me, like, you would be so good at owning an estate sale company because you know what to price stuff, and you have such a good eye, and you're so good with people. And I just kind of thought, oh, that would be so cool to have an estate sale business. And then my dad called me one day, and he said that one of my family members was getting a divorce and needed to have a sale. And so I had a sale for that family member, and I wanted to seem like really legit. And I said, I have to have a name. I have to have business cards. So I just started like blabbing out loud and just saying things out loud that might sound cool for a business name. And I was just thinking, like, I have two rubies, oh, that rhymes. So there came Two Rubies. My dad was a little darling computer nerd, and he made my little logo, and he printed out business cards for me, and we cut them with a paper cutter. And I had my first sale for my cousin, and the rest is history.
What year was this about?
This was 22 years ago.
22 years ago. So, because I was thinking as you're talking about that, how things have even changed. And I don't know why. Yes. So when you and I were growing up, because of the phone book, everything was Acme, Ace. It always started with an A because
it sure did.
And so, so even with it was kind of, I don't know why I was thinking about it, and I hadn't thought about it before, but, you know, not having the white pages or the yellow pages anymore really kind of expand. You don't have to be locked into an A name or a B name.
Sure don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
And I think about and this is just making me old, but I think about all those things that kids do, like younger people don't understand. Like if they
No,
saw like something like,
no,
why is that art of art construction? Like they would have no idea why it would be
right.
named that.
Right.
So,
Well, for instance, when I first started doing this, the only way to advertise was the Kansas City Star.
oh yeah,
You called them up and you gave them your description of the ad that you wanted. And of course, they charged you per word. So you had to get really creative. Like if you were saying collectibles, well, you would never like spell out the whole entire thing. So you would be like COLTBLZ to save space on the ad because you were getting charged, just kidding, per line, not per word. So, so just even that and telling that to my girls, like, oh yeah, you used to have to call up the newspaper and talk to somebody over the phone to give them your ad. And I mean, even that has changed. And I remember thinking like, oh gosh, a 9-line ad. Oh, that's going to cost me so much. And now you can write anything to your heart's content because it's digital and doesn't matter, you know?
right. Well, and that was so. I have many notes on here, and just your these first few things that you've said have touched on so many things. Because one of the questions that I had was, and I have to find it now because now I'm not going in order. But are there groups where people discuss estate sales? Because as you're saying, like back in the day, like it's like shorthand now. Like if you don't
Right,
know, if you don't know,
right.
like what LOL is, then you're kind
Mm-hmm.
of lost. So
Mm-hmm.
you would have to be told that. So are there? I would guess there might have been groups, but then so I guess just right now, are there groups, and how do people
Well,
find estate
now,
sales?
sure, now there are. Well, now everything is online. So you can go to, the estate sale websites and find all the estate sales that are happening right now. You type in your zip code, all these estate sales that are going to be 5 miles from that zip code will pop up. So there's Facebook groups, there's social media groups. But back in the day, I truly think it was just the newspaper. And now I can't think of what it was called. Was it the Thrifty Nickel or the Penny
Yes,
Pincher?
I think there were both of
So
those.
okay, so those little cute little paper magazine things that you
Right.
would find maybe like a Treasury Drug or Osco or Revco, those would sometimes have, people would advertise in those. I mean, that's just going way back. But no, the good old newspaper was where it was at for many years.
So when you started this, because people tell you that you would be good at this, or you should start. Hold on, I don't know what button I just hit. Oh, I guess I just accidentally hit a button there. Um,
Whoopsie.
yeah, but what gave you, when people are like, you should do this, what were the attributes, what were the qualities that people were seeing? Was it just being able to identify, have an eye for, because here's one of the notes that I wrote down, and I don't know if this is correct, is I put estate sales equal the value, garage sales equal feeling value. Meaning that when I've gone to estate sales, it seems like things are appropriately priced. Like I'm not going to one place and seeing an item and going down the street and seeing the same identical item at a drastically different price. It seemed like they're more like at a garage sale. It seems like it's sentimental. Like people price stuff because
Hmm.
it has, well, it just seems like it's, to me, and I don't know, it seems like when they're pricing a garage sale, when we've done it, we just go, oh, I think that'd be worth $1 or $5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, what are people paying for? There's no research. And I just feel like estate sales. So my wife has a friend that lives in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she does every Saturday. And it may be more than that. I just know that the one time we visited, it was Saturday morning. I went with them. But it was all about estate sailing
Yeah.
and just going. And first of all, I was amazed at how many in a small place like Hot Springs, which is a retirement community. So the people may have exited the building, which is why they're having the estate sale. But I mean, it amazed me at how many, I didn't know that we could literally go one after the other and all of them be
Oh,
in
yeah.
such close proximity.
Mhm.
Let,
Mhm.
let me ask this question, and hopefully there wasn't a question in the other ones. What is the catalyst for an estate sale? Because you mentioned the first one was someone divorcing. Because is
Yeah.
it
I
divorce?
mean,
Is it any downsizing? Is it going to a nursing home? Is it dying? What's the most common catalyst, or is there one?
well, I would say the most common is either going to assisted living, you know, or passing away. Now, I have hosted sales for all sorts of shenanigans. And I say shenanigans
You said
because
that very slowly, so please
uh-huh.
expound on shenanigans.
So, and I'm professional and I would never give anybody's name or anything, but in 22 years I've had some doozies. So usually it's somebody that has passed away and I'm working for the family, or it's somebody that is moving into a retirement community, assisted living, a villa, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's divorce. Sometimes I don't know, people are getting evicted. Sometimes people might be running from a bad situation. Um, Sometimes people are in some legal problems. Um, I mean, just, you know, I could write a book. I could write a book on the scenarios. Um, and I've just had some really interesting things. For me, I would say I most commonly am hired by somebody, like probably by the 60-year-old kid, because their 85-year-old parent is going to an assisted living. So around Kansas City, a lot of these homes are a 4-bedroom home with a basement and an attic and a family room and a living room and a sun porch. And they've lived there for 40, 50, 60 years. And now they're going into a one room assisted living situation. So, you got to get rid of everything.
So when they're reaching out, are you competing with other companies? Like, are they? So it's are they trying to find the best deal? So how do you separate yourself from another company? What is the pitch that you, Libby, for Two Rubies do to acquire that sale?
Well, okay. So going back to what you said earlier, like why did people think that I would be good at estate sales? Well, 22 years ago, my girlfriends thought I'd be good at estate sales because I just had a good eye and I appreciated vintage stuff and I like to organize, I like to organize things. They probably didn't know that I went to KU to become a social worker. And at the last minute, I changed my mind and I changed my major to human resources. It was really dumb of me to do. I had like a come to Jesus moment and I marched back into the social welfare school. I'm like, I made a mistake. I want to be a social worker. And they're like, well, we'd love to have you back. We have a 2-year waiting limit to get into the program. And by this time, I was a junior in college. I remember calling my dad from Lawrence, Kansas, and it was a long distance call back then,
Oh yeah, it was.
and talking to my dad. I'm like, "Hi, Dad. Is there any way that I could be in school for like 3 more years as a junior? Because I really do want to be a social worker." And he's like, "Liblet, get your butt home in 4 years." I was like, 10-4, buddy. So I wasn't able to become a social worker. I I now, as I've morphed into being this estate sale, company, it is 50-50. I am a social worker that's not a licensed social worker, and I have knowledge of vintage stuff. That's why I do it now. And I think, I mean, this is going to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but I think people hire me because they know I truly have a deep desire to help and provide a service. I really, really do. I cry with people all the time. I understand it's like a really hard situation when you're downsizing, it's a transition, somebody has died, blah blah blah. I think I get hired, and I get hired now mostly by realtors. So it's usually an estate sale is almost always hand in hand with the sale of a home. So you're gonna downsize and go to, go into an assisted living, and you're gonna have a sale and you're gonna sell the house. So Susie Q Realtor gets called. Hi, I need to sell my house. And so Susie Q Realtor goes over to the house and sees like a million things inside of it. And then Susie Q Realtor says, you should hire, Two Rubies Estate Sales. She does a fantastic job and she'll have you at her best interest. So I kind of think that's why I get hired now, is just because I truly do care about like doing my best job. I treat this family as like they're my family. Now, going back to, I didn't know you could go to so many estate sales in one day. I just had a sale this past weekend, just 2 days ago, and I was freaked out at how many good sales there were that day. So there was my sale in Olathe, and there were three other like killer sales loaded with vintage, all this stuff. And so, yeah, there is a lot of other competition. And I was hoping, please let just 10 people be in line for my sale because there are so many good sales. At opening, we had about 22 people in line. I was ecstatic, knowing full well that there was a great sale in Harrisonville. There was a great sale in Leawood, Kansas. So, yes, you can spend the day, going to 5 or 6 sales. And right now, I would say May through August is when a lot of the elderly people like to move. They don't like to move in February when it's cold out,
Right.
And if they don't have to move, if there hasn't been like an event that has happened and they didn't, like break a hip or anything, they can choose to wait. Well, I'm just going to wait till May to move. So that's why there's a million sales that
Well,
go on. And
that's a question that I wrote down as you were speaking earlier is how long do you usually have lead time to get a sale ready to market or open the doors, whatever? And how does that compare with how much time you actually would want? Do you get the amount of time that you want? Or you like, I need 4 days, 8, whatever that number is, or we need to do this then?
I'm going to say maybe 75% of my transactions, I have an appropriate amount of time to get it set up. Um, so eh, as you know, we've been in like a little bit of like a real estate crisis lately, and the market has been nutso. And either houses were flying off the market or they weren't. And even though the realtors, they have a pretty good idea of how long a house is going to sit, they don't always know. So sometimes I have 2 days to do a sale because, oh my gosh, we thought we were going to sit on this house. The house ended up selling yesterday for cash and they're closing in 2 days. Can you do this sale? And so that's when I'd say I can and we'll do it a picker's sale. And a picker sale is when you really don't have time to set anything up and you're just going to kind of like make the house look as nice as you can. You're going to create like aisles and paths for people to walk through, but you're really not going to have anything priced. People are just going to dig and pick through stuff and you're going to give them a price on the fly because, you can't properly set a sale up, usually like in 1 or 2 days. So, and it just depends on how big the houses, how much stuff there is. I love at least a week. I last summer I spent under 2 months putting a sale together, and that was one of the in 22 years was one of the biggest sales I've ever done. We had never seen so much stuff in our entire lives. But I want to do my best job. I want to uncover like the hidden gold and the hidden sterling, and you need to spend some time doing that.
Right. So I guess at the few estate sales that I've been to, it seems like, and most of these were in Hot Springs. I think I went to one across the street from my parents when they lived out in Willowbrook, out in South Johnson County here in Kansas City. And there was a reason we went to that one. But the ones that I remember, they look like they were big houses in Hot
Hmm.
Springs, and there was a lot of stuff. And it looked like there was a lot of time and effort put
Yep.
into just staging the sale, whether
Yep.
anything is sold or not. So
Hmm.
is there a charge for doing the sale, for setting it up and doing just the sale, and then on top of that, like what's sold, or how kind of, if you can discuss that or want to discuss, how is
Yeah.
that structure set up when you're setting up a sale? And Here's that compound question I warned you about
Here we
earlier.
go.
Yeah. So, and how does that affect your, like, if you're given 2 days, they close cash, you're, for instance, there, do you go, oh, well, now my minimum charge is higher? Finished with that
Well,
compound question.
okay. So question number one, um, I do not charge a setup fee. Two Rubies Estate Sales does not charge a setup fee. Do other estate sale companies in Kansas City charge a setup fee? Yes, they do. So I am just commission after the sale is over. We take a commission of what we sold, and that was my take. So sometimes do I kick myself for not, getting a fee up front? I mean, probably, yeah. At this point in time, I am not charging anything to set it up. So,
Have
okay,
you
well,
ever have you
I see
ever
I've already forgotten the
charged
other
have
question.
you ever charged a fee? You haven't. So you've
No,
just felt
the only
comfortable knowing I mean, we talked about this. I can generally judge from the amount of notes I have how long we will probably talk unless things go.
mm-hmm,
So are you the
mm-hmm.
same way? I can walk into a house and another compound question. I was gonna say you can walk into a house and go, okay, well, this is how much I think that we would be able to sell and the dollar amount, however you would come up with that. But that leads me to the question: are you even how much preview? If something has to be sold in 2 days, or they like you need to go look at this, sorry, compound questions coming left and right
Well,
now.
uh, um, so I'm a pretty good judge of stuff, and I'm also a pretty good judge of character. So this might even like be on a different tangent. I sometimes go to estate sale previews and I politely decline after I've previewed that house, because I just know I'm not going to make the homeowner happy or the realtor happy. Um, when I have my good my good human detector on and I know that it's going to be like a great sale for me to take and we're going to jive with each other, et cetera, et cetera. I do. People are always like, how much do you think we have here? And I do try to give like a ballpark, but usually every sale that I preview, they start pointing up high, like, well, and we don't even remember what's in those boxes. And oh God, up in the attic, there's like 14 boxes. I don't even know what's there. So I do say, I really won't know, how much we're going to sell until I open up all the boxes and stuff. Because a lot of times, what has happened with the boomer generation. So, we have a huge boomer generation in Kansas City. We have a huge boomer generation. When their parents either passed away or moved to assisted living, they cleaned out their parents' house and they took it all to their house. And so they might have boxes and boxes and boxes from their parents' house that they literally shoved in their attic, shoved in their garage, shoved in their basement, and these haven't been open for 30 years. So it's crazy to see the treasures that come from hidden boxes that have been packed away forever. So,
Well,
but
that's
I
what
do try to.
I was just gonna
Oh, go
ask.
ahead.
What's the biggest treasure you found? What's the like? Oh, an original copy of the Constitution or something like that. You always hear something weird.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
a year
See,
you'll hear something weird was found as in an estate sale. What's the weirdest thing or most priceless thing you've come across?
well, I guess it's been about 2.5 years ago. We had a sale up north. I think it was in Gladstone. And my handy husband found it. He was working in the workshop. This sale had the coolest equipment in the basement. I mean, it was like a man's man workshop with great tools, all that kind of stuff. And in one of like five workbenches, my husband pulled out a nail box. And instead of nails inside the box, there was 10, I think 8 or 10 gold Kugran coins. So, and we have a little scale. We have a little scale to weigh, gold and all that kind of stuff. And I, immediately texted my gold dude because I have a dude that buys gold, and he of course started salivating, and he immediately came back with a purchase price. And so then I called my client, and this was all at about, I'm going to say, I texted my client. I think this was about maybe 9 p.m. Texted my client, hey, we have found gold Kugrans in the basement. And of course, he immediately calls me back, doesn't even text me back. And well, where'd you find him? Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And he said there was a family legend that had been swirling around their family forever, that his parents had gone to Africa and bought these cougarans, but nobody knew where they ever were. He kind of thought his dad was like making it up. So he kind of thought there was maybe some cougarans in the house. But so I told him we found him. And he said, I go, I've got a buyer. I've got a buyer at a really good price, and I will completely lower my commission just on the cougarans. We'll do that as a separate transaction. I'll basically just do like a finder's fee. And he said, I think we want to keep him. I think we want to, end up giving him to our kids someday. He goes, I'll just get him from you tomorrow. I said, oh, no, 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 no. You need to come immediately and pick these up from my possession. I do not want to have these in my possession. I mean, it was tens of thousands of dollars.
So now I
So
see why you said there were 8 cougarans. I get it
no,
now.
there was two cougarans that we found. No,
Well,
I
I actually wrote that down as you were speaking. The note I wrote down as you started were, do clients balk? Like if you find something so valuable that all of a sudden they're like, I don't want to sell that. And you're like, fuck, I could have made like X
I
number of
know,
dollars on it. I mean,
but it's see, and there's a million estate sale companies in Kansas City, and I know that there are other companies that say, hey, the family had 2 weeks to empty out the house. They had 2 weeks to get what they wanted. Now that we've come on board, everything here is free game. And it is, but when I find something that doesn't belong somewhere, I just I just can't. We find money all the time. We found $800 in a drawer one time. I immediately called my client and, hey, we just found this. You need to come get it. We found money in pinball machines. And I mean, heck, we could have just probably left it in the pinball machine, but I just I just can't do that. I'm a Midwest girl with a conscience. I have, and yes, it's maddening. But when we find things, and that generation, like 90 years and above, they hid stuff.
yeah.
They were a product of the Great Depression. So we find hidden stuff all the time, and I just feel like I need to call my families I work for and let them know.
So when I used to be in the photography world, I had a woman come in and comes in with a brown like paper grocery sack.
Hmm.
And I can't remember. She was probably 50-ish. So I can't remember if it was parent or grandparent who just passed away. But she goes, we're going to put these cameras for sale at a garage sale, or should we just get rid of them? And I looked inside the bag and I go, you need to put these in a safe place. Find someone that will give you, I mean, I think it was like 6 Hasselblad, or excuse me, 6 Leica and 2 Hasselblad
Leica.
cameras.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
were, I mean, some people would be like, oh, those are just junk. But because if I actually
No.
would see a junk camera, I would be honest, and I hope they would always know. I'd be like, well, that's kind of a junk camera. I'm going to tell you, you won't get anything for it. I go, it is beautiful. I go, you could probably sell it for a
Hmm.
few bucks as a set piece. I
Hmm.
go, I wouldn't mind having it to put on a bookshelf. So I did that, and my wife actually bought some cameras. She goes, these look so cool. I think they're worth more than what they're at an estate sale. And I kept thinking, I don't think, like maybe at a garage sale. I do have a friend of mine that does garage sailing, and just
Hmm.
recently I want to say it was some sort of jewelry that he bought for like $10 and then sold it for $1,200. And I don't, can that
That's
happen?
awesome.
Can that happen in an estate sale though? Or
Oh, yeah,
I can.
yeah. I mean,
But is that
I
your fault
try.
then? Is that your fault that you didn't know to price something correct?
Well,
Or not you,
not,
Libby,
but
another
yes,
less than.
right.
Yes, a less than.
Well, and it wouldn't happen with gold and silver because I have an eye for that.
Okay.
But for other stuff, and especially books. Books are hot right now, and there's an app on your phone that all these book collectors, they all have this app, and they go around the house and they take this app and they scan the book. And I mean, I could spend a million years looking at every single book in the house. That's really hard to do. And
Right.
sometimes you just have to, just market books at one fair price. You know, like the antique books are going to be 10, the other books are going to be 7, the other books are going to be 3. But I feel like I'm sure I have misjudged books before, but can I have a I don't have a question, but I have a, like, an interesting thing.
Yes.
If one of your questions was, did you ever find anything that you were just disappointed about, or that like was you found it, you got really excited, and then you didn't get excited? We did a sale years ago, and there was a Leica um, uh, camera in the
Uh-huh.
basement. And my husband used to be like a hobbyist photographer as well, and he found the sweetest Leica in the basement. And the homeowner had been a photographer for Hallmark in the 50s. I mean, it just, and this basement had flooded. It was like one of those old houses with like a gross old basement. And we could not, I mean, my husband tried and tried to get the glass clean and everything. That one item will go down in history as the most like disappointing item, because if it obviously if it was been pristine, you know how much those sell for,
Right.
and they're really hard to find.
Well, and that's, I think about growing up in the mystical time of the 70s where those baseball cards are, I see all these baseball cards that I know as a child that I owned. I
Yes,
didn't keep them. I
yes.
didn't know they weren't as collector. I was just a little boy collecting baseball cards, and I was into numbers, so I loved that they had stats on the back. But I get. So here's an interesting thing. I went down in our storage unit, and I found a set of 19 a full set of 1986 baseball cards. It was only put out 1 year, and in the like late 70s and early 80s, I think it was Kellogg's. Is that Tony the Tiger? Anywho, I think it was
Sure
Tony
is.
the
Yeah.
Tiger. They used to put baseball cards in their cereal, and they were holographic. And then for one
Mm-hmm.
season, that company did a full set. Well, for some reason, I bought that full set, and
Nice.
I just found it. And so when I looked it up online, it said the average of the last 300 and some odd transactions is $7,700.
Wowza.
I was
Nice.
like, yeah, thank you. So then I went
Mm-hmm.
to a card shop here locally just to see, what's the quality, because I kept them stored well, but it was by accident, not by purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to check on the quality. And he goes, I know what it says online. He goes, if you have kids, grandkids, and I don't like the fact that he thought I had grandkids, because I don't yet.
Rude. Rude.
But I know exactly. But anyway, he was like, if you have kids or grandkids, you can let them play with it. And that's not don't worry about them playing with these cards. They're not worth anything. I go, and I showed him the thing. He goes, that's just to get interest.
Yeah.
To garner
Yeah.
interest. So, but it got me to thinking also about what garners interest at your sales. So you said that you had 22 people waiting recently for a sale on a
Mm-hmm.
day when there were plenty of other sales.
Mm-hmm.
What got those 22 people there? Was it something that you put in your
My
marketing
ad.
for that? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
compound question. So what was that for this instant? And is there one item, men's tools, baseball cards, whatever? Is there one item that you find more often than other that if it's in there, that's when people will show up?
Yeah. So, okay, so this sale on Saturday, as I said, was in Olathe. And so let's just like quickly go over the craziness that is estate sale people. So most people that come to estate sales, they are resellers. The majority are resellers. They are buying and selling for a living, or like as a hobby. And so they see the ad. They know that we open at 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. They get there at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and they put their little marker down to show who was there first. So their marker might be a pen or a golf tee or like a, Care Bear or something, and they will put it in line like I was here first, okay, I was here second, I was here third. Then they go back and sit in their cars, and like right now that it's hot out, they're going back into their cars and having them running with the AC on, and it's driving me crazy because that's my pet peeve, but that's a whole other tangent.
Right.
But anywho, so dude number one was there for the vintage Packer stuff. We had a ton of vintage Green Bay Packer stuff. Dude number two was there for the Packer stuff. Dude number three was there for the vintage posters. The fourth person in line is this album guy that comes to all my sales. who can try my nerves. And so yeah, so that's who it was. So Packers, vintage posters, and then the albums.
So do you have, and no one else is going to understand this reference when I make it. It sounds like, well, let me get through this question. So you're talking about the people when they get there, so they put their marker down so that they go in an order.
Yes.
Do they have to find, like if he's there for the Packers stuff, does he have to find the Packers stuff before the person behind him does? So this is what I was going to say that no one else would understand. Is it a Moonlight Madness at Jones Store type of situation?
Honey, it is a Moonlight Madness like at Venture, at Osco. I
Okay.
mean, yes.
Okay.
So, and every company has their little rules of like how they treat people that are waiting in line. Years ago, shenanigans happened with dealers that were waiting in line. Dealers got there in line, and I was inside the house, last minute, making sure everything looked good, making sure everything looked tagged, et cetera, et cetera. And a fight broke out amongst the dealers in line because one dealer put her marker down, and then she started to feel sick, and she tried to find the nearest Quick Trip. She was pregnant, and she went up, she went there to like go throw up, and she came back. That that created like a huge problem because you're not supposed to leave. Once you're in line, you have to stay there. There's all these silly rules. So
And
my
who are
rule.
they? Are they written rule? I mean, are these real
Oh,
rules?
they're. Do you see my air
I
quotes?
do. I
They're
do see them. They're
yeah.
very
Hmm.
impressive air quotes. Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, are there rules to estate sales? No. Are there unspoken rules? I mean, I guess yes. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy, but these are the people that spend the money at estate sales. So you kind of do have to like appease to them because you have to make them happy. And so after that little incident happened, because all these dealers got in my face and said I was being unfair and I should take care of this and she should be kicked out of all my sales. Of course, I'm going to take pity on a pregnant woman. My
Right.
God, she was pregnant and feeling sick. Like, give me a break. So they were literally like in my face, pointing at me like, you need to deal with this. You need to deal with this. I seriously didn't know what to do. I said, do I need to call 911? Do I need to call the cops? I mean, it was ridiculous. So since then, I have changed verbiage in my ad to talk about the type of behavior that I expect from the dealers waiting in line. So if you are number one in line, so if Roe Martin gets to my sale at 6:02 a.m., you can ask me anything. Hey, where's the Packers stuff? Hey, where are the albums? Hey, do you have any idea where this doll is? Because you're first in line, I feel like I can tell you anything. Now, if you are ninth in line and you're asking where stuff is, I mean, it's kind of against the rules,
Okay.
the unwritten rules.
So I just written this down also because you were talking, and I never even really thought of dealers as much. I would have thought them more of a garage sales. Like I say, and this is just, and I don't know why I have this thought, but it feels like, well, I do know why I have this thought. There are a lot of stupid people out there, and I figure that there is going to be a majority of them that will just not price shit right because they don't know any better. So I feel like I could get a better deal at a garage sale than I could
Yes,
in a estate sale. Because to me, it
you
seems like if you're as good as you say you are, you should be pricing this at almost a retail value. That how are they going to turn around and resell it for any money? I mean,
Oh, no, you can't price anything at retail. No, that we
okay.
can't do.
No, I
No,
mean
that
not like
but
retail, but I mean but what you expect to get. I mean, how much more are the dealers that are buying this? How much do they? Because I'm thinking that if I could just show up at an estate sale and buy something the same way a dealer, why would I want to pay a dealer extra to buy
right.
that?
So it is the never-ending headache for me because I I need to price for collectors because maybe a Packers fan is a collector. He doesn't want to resell it. So there's a fine line between it. There's like a mathematic equation. You have to find that sweet spot of pricing it for a collector, but also pricing it in case somebody wants to resell it. And so most estate sales are going to be a 2 day sale. Sometimes a sale might be a 3 day sale. So a lot of times you are pricing things at whatever you're pricing it at. and people aren't willing to pay for it on first day, but they'll come second day when things are discounted. And that's the tier of a sale. Like day one is full price, day two is 25% off, day three is 50% off. So sometimes people wait till the third day because they're probably a dealer that wants to resell this. So it's kind of hard to know, sometimes it's hard to know, like, gosh, do I price this? I see like this one item has sold on eBay for $18 and it's sold 9 times in the last 4 days for $18. But can I really put $18 on it?
Right.
Not really, because most of the times those people that are selling that for $18 are dealers that have, bought it for less and want to make some money. So
Yeah. So I wanted to ask this question too, because you're talking about the length of the sale, because I didn't know if they were 2, 3 days. I didn't know what they typically were. Um, Doing this for as long as you have, and I did a quick math. So you started when your kids were more kids than they were now, because they're always going to be your
yes,
kids, but they were
yes.
so you're losing Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, how is that losing that? And then compound question again, how much time, like typically for an interview, I've probably spent 5 or 6 hours getting ready to talk to you today.
Yep.
So how much
Yep.
time, not only losing that time, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever, those days actually doing the sale, how much does it take you on an average sale to get to the doors opening?
Okay. So I had a sale over Memorial Day weekend. We had it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Memorial Day. Because it was a doozy. It was a huge 5-bedroom house, loaded to the gills, loaded to the gills. We did a 3-day sale. I had 134 hours in that sale.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot,
Yeah.
And that is and back in the day when our girls were much younger, my sales would be during the week. They would be like Wednesday, Thursdays, because our weekends, as you know, with kids, were like at soccer and dance and all the things. So I kind of feel like there used to be a lot more weekday sales. I think that a lot of people now choose the weekends. Um, we choose the weekends just because I do think it's everybody has it off. But when I do a 3-day sale, I'll do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
So
Let me we're going to stay in the family questions here. So, because I follow your post, you have a Father's Day weekend. This show won't be out until after Father's Day, but for
okay,
Father's Day weekend here in the United States, you do have a sale coming up this weekend.
I do.
You
So
do.
I'm
So, like, I was gonna ask. So on that Father's Day weekend, does your husband? Do you get to let him come in early and you go, like, pick out one thing, whatever you want, honey. It's on me.
well, and I'm such a freaking loser. Last weekend we had a sale on our anniversary. So 2 days ago was our anniversary, and we had a sale on our anniversary. And then next weekend, and this because next weekend sale came just really recently. Like it just came to fruition. It like got landed in my lap. And the only time that would work for my client and for us was next weekend. And I wasn't even paying attention that it was Father's Day. So here's my husband who has a full-time job. I mean, he is a worker. And then I'm like, hey, I know you just got home from work, but can you like come over to the Statesville house and work like another 4 hours for me? Oh, and work on our anniversary. And then I also forgot that you are working on Father's Day. So yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Eh.
So, I mean, we've had sales on Black Friday, on Easter Sunday. We've had sales on Memorial Day and Labor Day. Um, on our anniversary, which is a national holiday. Just kidding. So, you kind of just got to do what you got to
Better or
do.
worse on those holidays? Like sales. Do
Oh,
you think you get better traffic?
Black Friday is the best
Really?
because everybody is off. Almost everybody has that day off
So
from
has
work.
that changed like at all while you've been doing this? Because I would have like Black Friday has changed like going
Yes.
shopping. So has
Yes.
that changed? So are you seeing more traffic on Black Friday now than maybe you used to when people actually had to show up at a store on Black Friday to buy something?
I kind of think so.
Okay.
But the 2 sales I had on Black Friday, the stuff was so over the top legit that it was like massively awesome stuff. So that's probably why we got a bunch of people there. My first Black
Hold
Friday
on,
sale was
hold
for.
on, hold on.
Oh,
I gotta
okay,
ask, what is massively awesome stuff? Because
okay.
that's gonna be a little different to everyone. I'm sure it'd be much different between my wife and myself. So what was the massively awesome stuff that you had?
The gentleman owned a fly fishing store in Independence, Missouri, and almost everything from that store, when he closed the store, that didn't sell, he brought back to his house, and we had the sale. And
I
I'm
am
talking,
not a
we had.
fisherman, but I know a lot of freaks that are.
So he was, and like, can we still say he was a man's man, like
Sure.
without like
Yeah.
being on PC and making people?
Who cares?
And I mean, and I know that women can fish, I know women can hunt, and I know women can go camping. But back in the day, I used to call that like a man's man sale, like hunting, camping, fishing would like the men would go crazy for that. And I'm not saying women can't go crazy for it,
Right.
but this dude was a man's man. There was hunting, camping, fishing, there was taxidermy, the rods and reels that were there, the fly fishing stuff that was there. He had quiver, which I had never known what a quiver was. I now know what quiver is. So that sale, we had 87 people in line, and I just felt like I've made it. Like I am now officially a really good estate sale person because we had 87 people in line.
Is that the most you've ever had waiting for you in
Yep,
line? That's
yep,
awesome. I
yep.
mean, what's the average? So you've mentioned 87, you mentioned 22. What would you
Hmm.
say just on a like if the sale doesn't really get you down, doesn't really pique your it's just like and
Yeah.
I don't mean to put any sales down because I'm sure they're all different and
No,
special.
no,
But I mean,
there's
like,
downers.
what's the average sale like waiting
So,
line?
okay, so I when I found out about all these other good sales for this past weekend sale on our anniversary, I told myself, okay, I'm going to be happy with 8 people in line because man, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to all these other sales.
And
I had like
what were you basing that on? Their ads or their location? Their
their
ads.
ad,
Okay.
their
Okay.
ad. Yep, yep. So, one of the ads was titled "Mid-Century Modern Time Capsule." Well, that gets me excited. I mean, if I wasn't hosting a sale, I would have been in line. Like mid-century modern time capsule, yes, please. Um, so we had like 20, 21, 22. I was like, yes, okay, this is good. I always want to see at least 25 people in line. I would say I usually have about 30 or 40. I had a sale a couple years ago, kind of outskirts of town. For people that are listening, it was Belton, Missouri, and we had 8 people in line, and it was kind of drizzling, and it was mostly like a crafty sale with like crafting supplies and quilting and whatnots. And this woman was so dear when I met with her, and it was a referral. It came from like a really nice realtor, and I knew that no other estate sale company was probably going to take the sale, so I just really wanted to help them out. But 8 people in line, that was a bummer. That was a bummer.
I was going to ask because you kind of mentioned it. You mentioned the title of the other sale made you interested, and one of the questions that I
Yes.
have is, do you still? So you used to go estate sailing with some friends, and they told you you would be good at doing it. Did you ever think they were just trying to get you out of the group? That went estate sailing, like now Libby's gonna be busy every weekend, so we can finally do mimosas. So I mean,
Hmm.
so do you
Hmm.
still do it, and do you do it more as I do it because it's enjoyment, or you do it with like a keen eye to what the other proprietor is doing at that sale?
So, I really don't go to sales anymore. And but my husband does. So my husband loves still going to sales. And does he do recon for me? Sure, he does. Do we like to see how other people are doing their business? Of course we do. I'm a human. I mean, I know comparison is a thief of joy, but sometimes I'm like, okay, what are other sales doing that I'm not doing? And how are they doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm not doing that. So, but my husband he has a job that sometimes he has like blocks during the day where he has nothing to do between like 1 and 3. And so of course he's just gonna go hit up a sale if there's one in the neighborhood. So but no.
Have you or he ever stalked a sale that maybe you wanted, and maybe it went to another proprietor for some reason? Have you ever stalked and gone, well, I'm gonna go see, and gone, well, fuck, we could have done this 10 times better?
So I I turned down a sale about 4 months ago, and in 22 years, I've never had seller's regrets so bad than I did this sale. This sale had the best stuff. Oh my gosh, this, and you know
So
what?
did
It's
you
rare
you
though.
didn't know it beforehand?
No, I did.
Oh.
I no, I these people wanted to hire me. They really wanted to hire me. I knew I could not make them happy. I knew I could not make them happy, and I walked away. And for me to walk away from a really dope sale is very hard to do. And this sale was like, did you live? Well, I'm not going to say where you used to live, but
Yeah.
it was right by John Deemer. It was
Yeah.
right by John Deemer.
Yeah.
So it was like close because now I live close to I live about 10 minutes away. It's so hard for me to walk away with a house filled with like the coolest stuff. But if I can't work with the homeowner or the realtor and I know I'm not going to make them happy, I know I just have to walk away. And so I of course sent my husband to the sale. I sent like a million people to the sale.
Well,
Like,
but I
check
mean
it out.
that is how you make a fitness coach Jason Smith, who's been on the program multiple times. We've talked on the show before that the difference between happy people and sad people are happy people do things that make them happy. And sometimes you have to understand that not doing something can actually give you more enjoyment than doing it. Even though you're excited by that prospect and stuff, there you can generate. And so I commend you for knowing, being aware of, for whatever reason, the how it's not going to work out well for you.
Yep.
I want to ask real quick because I have this note and I haven't made it to this question yet. You made a post, and I'd have to look at my handwritten notes, but you had made a post within like the beginning of June, and it says from your Instagram post, I take the covers off all chairs, and then you put see the difference, and my note to myself is no, I do not. So I was just wondering what I was supposed to. I mean, it looked brand new, but I didn't know if that's what we were going for there. I literally was like, no, I don't see the difference.
So it was a brewer style chair underneath. So it's a brewer style chair is a chrome and caned back chair that is super killer. Everybody loves it in the mid-century modern world, but it had like this not so cute cover on it. And with a not so cute cover, I would have put like $5 on it. But when I saw was underneath, I put 20 and it sold.
Have you
So
ever
there you have
found
it.
have you ever found a chair and it was the reverse? You're like, I'm gonna leave the cover on because I can get more money with this cover on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
I figured as much. Are you, when you place the ad, you're targeting a specific group, and it sounds like you're doing that almost by sale. But are there ever, so here, when I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, granted, it is a retirement community.
Mhm.
So just the average age is, the median age is going to be higher.
Yeah.
That being said, every estate sale I went to, everyone looked exactly the same. And if it was a big house, which there were quite a few of them, it seemed like everyone was congregating around the same things. So I was
Yep.
wondering whether it's just there's really a group of people that are not the dealers, but that are just the, because I just don't get it with Sue. Like, I don't understand what she's going there and looking for to buy. Because I've been to her house. It looks like it's kind of full of stuff. I mean, it looks like
Yeah.
it has everything she needs. I mean, I've never
Yep.
asked like for something and, oh, I don't have that. I should go to an estate sale and pick one of those up. So, but
Yeah.
that's what she does every week. And that's what she always does. So for
Well,
the non-dealers, what is that? What are they looking for, those groups?
so currently, vinyl and albums, like, I mean, it's the same thing. It's hot. And I have to use both of those words when I type my ad. I actually say albums slash vinyl because when people go onto the estate sale website, some people specifically just type a word in the search bar. They want to find the estate sales that have the vinyl, or they want to, find the sales that have the albums. So, vintage clothing is currently hot right now. Hot, hot, hot. You and I think of vintage clothing as like, oh, bell bottoms from the 60s and 70s. Well, wrong. Even 90s clothing
I
is considered
know.
vintage now. I mean, you know, my girls are 24 and 27, and like the 90s stuff is hot right now. Like they love wearing that.
Yeah,
And I was like, it was ugly back then, like when we like used to listen to the Cranberries and whatnot. So
I know.
um, so they are looking for sports memorabilia. Here's what I think they're looking for. I think costume jewelry is hot right now. Sports memorabilia, albums and vinyl, vintage clothing, um, and just like cool old mid-century modern stuff, whether it is decor or furniture. Um, and then one more item is like the rattan. Like if it looked like it was on the Golden Girls lanai, think about Rose and Blanche
Uh
sitting on
huh.
their lanai. If it was on Rose and Blanche's and whoever the other people are, their lanai, that's hot right now. Like rattan, like 70s and 80s rattan
So
furniture.
who is it? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, our oldest, we have a 28 and a 22-year-old, and the 22-year-old's finishing up college. The 28-year-old, she's out and about, and I'm trying to think. I mean, I want to say that she likes vintage stuff, but now that I'm trying to think about how much vintage none of that furniture, none of that is like for her. And that's what I'm thinking. It feels like when I was in Hot Springs, it was almost a transfer of items from
Yep.
the same exact age group, like to the same exact age group. Like, I'm still alive. I can still use this doily for my television or something like that.
So when I mean, and I have a lot of adorable elderly regulars that come to my sales. And I mean, they're they are 80s. They're at least 80 years old. And God love them. I mean, I'm making money off of them. They have no business buying stuff because they're going to need a sale in like another year. And
Right.
a lot of times it is like it's the kid is bringing their mom to the sale. So it's like a 65-year-old who's got their 85-year-old mom with them, and the 65-year-old is like rolling her eyes at me and like doing this to me, like, oh God. And I just like roll my eyes. I'm like, I know it, old people love stuff too. So, but your 28-year-old daughter, maybe she is getting her first house, maybe she's getting her first apartment. And if she was into vintage stuff, I do have a big demographic of 25 to 35-year-olds who are desperately looking for cool vintage stuff to put in their first house or their first apartment.
That
So they're looking for like cool wall hangings, like cool plant stands, just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes my thought about that is there's a reason that we've evolved from that style. Like, there's
Yes.
a reason
Yeah.
that shag carpet really didn't take over like we all thought it was in the 70s. So I had written this down earlier that because we're talking about people that come to your sales and things like that. Have you ever been bribed to get into it, like to either jump line early or to preview it? Like, I'm going to be out of town Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I'll pay you $100 if I can come in to kind of, you have.
A
Often?
million times.
Okay.
And I say no every single time because I just tried. I got to be fair. I got to be fair.
Right.
So, oh, yeah. In the verbiage that these people use, whether they are dealers that know me. So sometimes it's people that actually know me. But a lot of times it is just people that I don't know because you can send a message off of your ad on the estate sales website. So a lot of times I'll have people and I just love their verbiage. Hey, let me just go ahead and help you out and take those off of your hands
Right.
early. Like, hey, I'm going to do you a favor. And I will respond back. I'm like, oh, we're good. Thank you. I mean, I want to be like, oh, okay, buddy, but I don't. But yes, everybody wants an early.
But
And the
have
second,
you? You say that you don't, but have you? Have you ever because I couldn't. I don't suffer fools lightly, and I would find it. So this is what I used to do. When people would come up to me and say, "Hey, I have a dumb question for you or a stupid question for you," I would always be like, "No, don't say that. That is wrong." I go, "I
Hmm.
get to determine whether your question is stupid or
Yes.
not." Then I have
Yeah.
them ask the question. I almost always go, "Well, you're right. That was stupid."
That
Just
was dumb.
I
Yep.
need to keep them in their place. But like with people that are trying to get it, that just yeah, I understand the people trying to use verbiage to get around it. In the photography industry, we had a lot of people. I'd have a lot of churches that would come, and they would like to keep saying that
Oh.
they're a church. We don't have a lot of
Hmm.
money. We're a church. We don't have a lot of money. We're a church. We don't have a lot of money. We're a
Right.
church. And it's like,
Right.
I don't know. Someone's not tithing then like they should be. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
So I'd have to give them alternatives to go through. So I wanted to ask this, and this is going to be. I'm going to make this not a compound question. I'm going to do my best to separate these. How
Okay.
have things changed since the pre-pandemic to post-pandemic? And was there a long time where you just couldn't do your sales, or did you do it online? Oh, damn, that was another compound question, wasn't
Okay.
it?
Well, I'm going to give you the story of Bill. Bill, I don't know. I love widowers. I love doing a sale for a widower. I feel like my heart just goes out to a widower. Bill is this. I hope he's still alive. I really hope he's still alive. He is this darling man. And I got hired by Bill. And the whole idea was Bill was going to go to Vegas for 10 days. And while he was in Vegas, I was going to come in and set up the sale and have the sale while he was gone, because you can't ever have a sale when the homeowner is there. That's a no-no. That never ever works. So Bill was going to leave, let's just call it on Tuesday. Well, I told Bill, I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I would love just to come in really quick and just start taking some pictures just to get a little jump on it." So I spent 2 days while Bill was still there, just kind of taking pictures for the ad. Fell in love with Bill. Bill was full of shenanigans. He probably had a lot of fun in his day. Well, then all of a sudden the pandemic starts and whatnot. And I'm calling the realtor and I'm saying, "I don't think I can have this," because of course she wanted me to have the sale because she wanted to put the house on the market. And that's when realtors like weren't supposed to put houses on the market, or they weren't supposed to have open houses, and like the rules were kind of vague. This was in Johnson County, Kansas, which is one of our biggest counties in Kansas, and there was rules about all of that. So I had to let Bill know. I said, "Bill, I can't." And that's like right, remember right when the pandemic helped or started, they were talking about how the elderly were the people that were going to be the most affected. And I mean, he was probably like 80 years old. And so I just said, "Bill, I can't come to your house. I can't set the sale up. I'm not supposed to be around you. And we don't know what any of this is." He obviously didn't go to Vegas because, all the flights got grounded. So we had to put the setting up of the sale on hold. And the realtor was cool with it. She's like, "I can't even put the house on the market." So we put it on pause. And then every day, like the rules were changing of like if you could do something, you couldn't do something. So, watching the news, like we could be 6 feet apart from each other. So I called Bill. I said, "Okay, I guess we can be 6 feet apart from each other if we wear masks." So this is the only time that I went against my rules, because I don't ever, 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 ever set up a sale when the homeowner is there. But I knew Bill was lonely, and we just did it. So Bill wore a mask and I wore a mask, and I made sure he was at the other side of the house while I was working in the same room. So the second that the county opened back up, we could only have, I think, 10 people in a group setting at one time. And so that day, I had 3 staff members there working. So that meant that I could have 7 people come into the sale at one time. So I came up with a brilliant idea. I put playing cards outside in a basket, and I put 7 playing cards, like the Joker and the Jack of whatever.
Right.
And I put a sign that said, "Your card in the basket is your entry into the sale. If the basket is empty, we are at capacity, and please wait until, another card is there." So we had let 7 people in at a time. As people checked out, we all had masks on. I had them hand me their card. I took their card and did a Lysol wipe on the card. I walked outside, put a card back into the basket, let the next person pick the card and come in. I mean, holy wow. So for a long time, we were only allowed to have X amount of people at a, a group setting. So, but everybody was really cool. I probably had 3 or 4 sales during the really like the heart of the pandemic where we had to do that with the cards and stuff, and it really did work. And nobody gave me any flack. I mean, we were all in it together,
Right.
So, but beds, beds have are selling differently now. People don't want other people's germs.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they never sold that great like mattresses, but I will have to say of anything that I could see like doesn't sell so great anymore, it's mattresses.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about the owner's absences. So, because you're having a multi-day sale, and I have a very small number of sales I've been to, but they all seem like they took up the entire house. So
Yeah.
when you say that they're absent, are they gone like for the entire, like they don't come home at night to spend the night there, or are they totally gone, or are they allowed to return in the evening?
Well, they have probably already moved to their
Okay.
assisted living. So I when I get a call for a sale, whether it's from the realtor or from the family, I tell them what I think is best. And then I say, now your realtor is going to have some ideas of what is best. Ultimately, it needs to be what is good for you. My thing is you move. So you move to your assisted living. I come in and I have the sale. The sale is over, the house gets emptied. Now you put the house on the market. That is the three-step plan that is the best. Now, a lot of times that can't happen. And a lot of times people like that are going to assisted living or something, it isn't ready yet. Their room isn't ready. I've had people stay at hotels. I've had people stay at families' houses. It is impossible for me to get a sale set up with the darling elderly person there. It's impossible to work smartly. They just want to chit chat. Clearly, I'm a very chatty person. I adore people. I adore people. I love people's stories, but I'm there to do a job. And they just want to chat all day long, and it just and they'll also say, "Why are you putting $1 on that? I paid $1.99 for that at Revco back in 1970. Shouldn't that be worth like $3 now?" No, it shouldn't. It actually should be 25 cents. I'm just trying to do you a solid and put a
Yeah.
dollar on it. So,
And it expired
so
27 years ago. So,
and it's from, 2014. So, and so that is one rule that I don't break, except for I broke it for Bill. And Bill in 22 years, I've had one person give me a tip. Bill sent me a thank you card about a week or two later after the sale. He sent me $200. He said, I really enjoyed that. I'm really gonna miss you. And I just love Bill so much. I mean,
yeah.
so I will never forget that sale. I mean, we will
But
never forget like
that's kind of cool though that you're doing something that helps someone so much that it's impactful. I mean, because I would assume, not knowing Bill myself, that his story, if I ask him about you, his feelings would be very similar to your feelings towards him.
I hope so.
Now,
Yeah, I hope so.
because of the age that I'm going to assume Bill was, because of just how you were talking, this next question may exclude him, but it kind of came down under the pandemic and how things have changed. But I think I read somewhere how you accept payment. But my question was going to be, has that changed over time? Because it used to be you pretty much could only do probably cash. No one order. I don't know if you'd want to do check or something maybe so many years ago, but then it got to where you could swipe on your phone or
Mhm,
scan or
mhm,
Venmo. So how has
mhm.
payments changed, and what type of payments, or has it changed at all? Are you into
Oh,
like
yeah,
what
no, it's changed.
crypto? I even read like crypto. If someone, and I don't do crypto, but if they could pay like electronically to you, like what type of payment have you seen change, and how is it now?
So, in the beginning, it was cash or checks. Like 22 years ago, it was cash or checks.
Did you have many
And
problems with checks back in the day?
mhm. And the last time that I took a bad check, and I mean, oh, it's so maddening. It's so maddening because we are having sales for old people. We are having sales for people that have passed away, and the family is trying to make money for their funeral. or the family is trying to pay for their $8,000 a month room at an assisted living. And when you pull a fast one at a sale, like baby girl, karma,
Yeah.
karma is the thing. So I got really fed up with the bad checks. So then I stopped taking checks. And then I got a Square for my phone and started taking credit cards. And yes, there's credit card fees and they're a bummer. Of course they are. But what's more of a bummer are there's like a handful of reasons why a consumer can say that they got scammed. And Square or the credit card companies will always side with the consumer. So I had a couple of credit card transactions that like 2 weeks later came back to me and said denied, and they took money out of my account. And it was because, some yahoos at the sale knew exactly what they were doing, and they said that Two Rubies Estate Sales was actually a magazine subscription that they didn't sign up for, so they wanted their money back. I mean, just like the craziest thing. So as soon as like a handful of people start like, doing the system wrong, I'm like, well, can't take credit cards anymore. So currently I am cash and Venmo.
Okay.
And I might go back to credit cards sometime, but Venmo is life. I don't do PayPal, I don't do Cash App. I adore Venmo, and of course, cash is king.
Yeah. So does that?
However, some after COVID, some people don't take cash anymore because it's dirty.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, does that become a problem for you, either health wise? Because, here's someone
Yeah,
that's in front of you that's sniffling and coughing and all these things. And then
yeah,
they're, coughing in their hands and let me get my cash out and hand it to you.
yeah,
Or are you also
yes.
like security wise being, and I don't know what additional staff you have with you, but does that being a more cash focused, cash centric, cash first type business, does that promote other issues for you?
I mean, I'm sure it could. I mean, lately, I think most people, not most people, a lot of people are paying Venmo. I mean, it's just so darn easy. So, um, but you know what? I just remembered. Remember the coin crisis during the pandemic? Remember there was a
Yeah,
shortage of coins. Do you remember that?
I do.
And so I do remember people even asking me like, "Will you be able to make change if we pay?" And I think I just must have had a stash of coins. I always have like a baggie of coins because I've been making change for the last 22 years. So, yeah, I'm loaded.
So let me ask you this as we get towards the end on this. Have you thought about your exit strategy? Is this something that you want to do until way past what we'd call retirement age in the United States? Is this something that you just enjoy doing now and you've enjoyed it the last 22 years? You're going to continue doing? Do you have an exit strategy for Two Rubies?
Um, so the joke in our house is like, "Oh, won't our daughters like to take over the family business?" And they are like, hail to the nah, we're not doing that. They have zero interest.
Have
So
they have
I
they
mean,
have they have they participated? Maybe
oh,
what
we
we
made
wouldn't call
them.
it forced labor, of course, but
No, we would never call it that.
no.
We would never
But
call it
as your
that.
children were growing up, and let's say maybe
Oh,
couldn't stay home by themselves or something, were they with you in participating?
yes,
So they have firsthand
yes,
knowledge that they don't want to do
yes.
it. Okay.
And we had their boyfriends helping us. We had my son-in-law. My oldest is now married. My son-in-law helped. My son-in-law is a major golf player. Actually live in London, and he works for a really gorgeous golf course there. And he's my golf guru. So even though now he is now 6 hours ahead of the time, I still am texting him pictures of golf clubs that I'll have at a sale. Like, what should I price this? What should I price this? So my youngest daughter's boyfriend, who is in Kansas, and my girls don't even live here, so they don't even want to come to Kansas City to do this. Her boyfriend is in Kansas City, and I just texted him, "Can you help me this weekend?" So I would say maybe I would do this for another like 5 or 6 years. It's a physical job. Some
I didn't even
days,
think of that.
oh, it's a very physical job. Very physical job. So the sale that I just did this past weekend, on June 8th, there was the Lowell, there was you could go up 5 flights of stairs. You could just, and if I'm taking something from the very basement to the very top on the third floor, you're carrying like a heavy box and you're getting your steps. So I mean, I hope I'm still physically able to do it. I feel very like the gratitude is high that I still have like arms that work and legs that work and eyes and ears that work. It's a, it's a total gift to be able to have a body that works. So, I mean, I guess as long as my body's working and I like I'm not senile, sure, I'll still do it.
Okay.
I love old stuff and I love helping people. I love old stuff and I adore helping people.
Which one do you love more?
Helping, helping.
No. Okay. You answered
I
that
should have
pretty
been a social
quickly. If you would
worker.
have paused for a second, I would have thought it may have been the other stuff. So,
No,
okay.
it's helping.
Okay. Final question, probably, at least for this podcast.
Okay.
What if you are going to go to another estate sale
Mm-hmm.
or you're just driving down the street? I'm going to even throw
Yep.
garage sales into here. What would you want to stop? What would you, if you could just, I want to go in and see if they have fill in the blank. What is something that if you saw it, because like me, I do like old cameras and I
Yeah.
actually like the way they look. They don't have to be a Leica or a Hasselblad. They just have to have a cool body or look cool in some shape or form. So I may go look for like set pieces, like old cameras. What does Libby go and look for herself?
I mean, I do love anything vintage clothing. I adore vintage clothing. Um, I I love old stuff. I love old weird stuff. I adore old love letters and I have them at my sales all the time. Um, so if I'm if I'm on the app, if I'm on the estate sales website app and I'm looking at the app and I'm looking at the ad and I know that there's some like old military stuff, even though I don't even collect military stuff, there might be some, war love letters there. I just love reading through them. But this is also so boring. We get all of our cleaning products from sales because I mean, I don't want to pay $3.99 for Windex when I could maybe find it at a sale with like 2 inches gone of it and it's 50 cents. Like
I
really
never
exciting
thought
stuff,
of that.
isn't it? Oh, I have people that only come to my sales for cleaning products. I have people that come for bathroom and pantry items. Yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you this. This is a question that I didn't ask, but I had written down. How many first name regulars do you have?
Oh, lots. And
You
they're
do?
loaded in my phone. They're loaded in my phone. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that's so.
I
So do you have them? See, my wife tells me this all the time that I don't understand the phrase "last question" because there seems to be more than one after that. But like, it's weird just talking, and that's what I love about talk. I never thought about cleaning supplies because now
yes.
because that totally makes sense. Like,
Yes.
yeah. Oh,
Well,
that's
and especially moving companies will not move liquid anymore, or maybe they never did. So let's say that you are, because I just did a sale like about 3 months ago for a younger gal, maybe like 62, and she was moving. She had a million like Clorox bleaches and good. She had good like expensive like all natural cleaning products, and they were maybe half empty. Well, her mover said we don't move liquids, so they were all there. And if you're getting a organic cleaner that's normally 14.99 and half of it's left, and I usually do my cleaning products at like $1 or $1.50. I mean, that's a bargain,
it is.
So
And I was thinking this as you were speaking, and then I lost the question, I think, but it was you were talking about the cleaning supply. I don't remember what my question was now. So
that happens.
I wrote down earlier because I never even thought of this love letters. So have you had
Yes.
families that have been like, nah, sell them? I mean, like, don't. I mean, I would think that. So
Yes.
I'm also weird because I was adopted. So a lot of my history starts with me. So if I found a book of like old love letters from my grandfather, my grandmother, or my dad, my mom, or something, I would think that I would cherish that. I would think those would be amazing. So I had never even thought about, oh, I do remember the question I was going to ask you. Have you run across things that you can't touch? So I used to have a federal firearms license where I could buy, sell, and trade firearms. And
Hmm.
there's certain things, classifications that you can't, like a suppressor. If an individual buys a suppressor, what most people would call a silencer, literally it's against the law for anyone else to touch it. So if
Hmm.
they pass away, even if I was like, oh, my dad had this, as soon as there's ways to get around it, like a gun trust. But have you ever run across something where we cannot legally or
Yeah.
health-wise
Oh
touch?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen ammo, guns, drugs, um, yes, all
Yeah.
of the above. Yep.
So that will be the next time. We'll dive into, maybe if you'll return, we'll dive into a little bit more of some of the particulars about it, because like what generally happens is when I talk to someone the first time, then as soon as we're done, I come up with, my head gets flooded with all these new questions, because there's a lot of things you mentioned that I never even thought of, like
Yeah.
the way that people act there. I mean, their code of conduct, almost. I mean, all these different love letters. I mean, to me, that seems so personal. And the thing that you were talking about, I was trying to figure out what I would call vintage. But when my dad passed away a couple years ago, I kind of took over wearing cardigans. He used to hate
Yes.
pulling stuff over his head. And it's
Yeah.
not my preference, but a lot of people, if I don't wear a cardigan at a certain point, then they're like if it's a polo or a V-neck, or they're like, where's a cardigan?
No,
So
you look fly. You look so fly.
so I appreciate that. But I was trying to think, like, well, I don't do vintage, but I kind of do vintage.
You do.
I don't,
Yeah.
in my mind, it's not vintage. It's just hip. But I mean, because,
It's very hip.
yeah. So thank you so much for being on the program.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You know-
and you know what? I'm a
Yeah.
fellow adopted gal too. I didn't know you were adopted.
I am. So we can talk about that sometime too. So
Yeah.
I've met my birth mom and half brother, half sister. Ended up having a whole bunch of nieces and nephews almost immediately, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
But they were full grown, so you don't get the goo goo gaga stage. But that would be, because I really don't know, besides my sister, anyone else that was adopted. And her and I have very different. I was always like, oh, my parents gave me out because they wanted me to have a better life. There's a lot bigger story than that, like attorneys involved and being sent out of the state. A lot of stuff with mine, which was really
boy.
cool. But like my sister really she's never wanted to like know anything about him. And so
Oh my gosh,
I know
yeah.
it's kind of weird.
We're
So
all different. Yeah. My
Yeah.
brother's adopted as well, and he couldn't care less.
yeah.
He
And
doesn't. He's not curious.
The only reason I became curious and why I started reaching out is trying to figure out is because as we get older, when they go, do you have a family history of? My family
Right.
history is me.
Yes.
And that was
Yes.
the only thing that bothered me is I couldn't say, oh, well,
Right.
MS runs in the family or cancer. I don't know.
Right.
So that's one
Yep.
of the things. So that'd be an interesting, totally different conversation. So that'd
Totally
be
different
awesome.
convo.
Yeah. So Libby, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you. This was fun.
It was. So, and I'm going to reach out to, so we're listened to in 54 countries, at least at my last track. So I'm going to ask about, I want to reach out to someone internationally that I talk to a lot and just find out whether they do sale. I mean, I don't even know if they do. Do they have I
Yeah.
don't even know if they have garages. So
Well, and even in the United States, there's a lot of places that don't have sales. My oldest lived in Des Moines forever before they moved to London. And Des Moines, Iowa, she kept on saying, Mom, we need to bring Two Rubies up to Des Moines. There's all these old houses here and nobody does estate sales. And I'm like, where do people, like, what happens to the things? Like, what happens to the stuff? I don't know.
okay, gosh dang it. Why, Libby? Final, probably maybe final question. What happens
Okay.
to all the leftover stuff? Or do you just price it enough to just get rid of it?
There's always stuff left over. So I have a two-tiered service and pricing situation. You can pay me less money and I just do the sale. I set the sale up and I have the sale, and then the family can deal with, making a donation or taking over the sale and having a garage sale or something like that. Or you can pay me to deliver it from A to Z, where I empty out the house, and that is that. So I like to offer both services. Every family is different. Some families want to pay me less because they need the money, and they're totally willing to, make their own donation, et cetera, et cetera. Some people are like, heck no, please do it all, and just, I don't want to see this stuff ever again. So it just depends on what the client wants.
Okay. So I will make that the final question. So for
Okay.
everyone that's been listening to the podcast, thank you all for listening. We had Libby Kreighbaum. She is the owner of Oh, this is your Instagram. I didn't mention it earlier, but the name of your company is Two Rubies Estate Sales on Instagram. You can find her at two, the word two, TWO _ rubies _ estate sales with an S at the end. So at two _ rubies _ estate sales. Libby Kreighbaum, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're
so
welcome.
Good to see you.
Don't leave. Everyone else, I'm going to have you guys leave. I'm going to talk you all out. You've been listening to the podcast. My name's Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.